Patrick Mahomes is simply not who people think he is. While he's still known as gun the ball down the field guy, nobody wants to tell you what his game really is all about, throwing behind the line of scrimmage. According to Next Gen Stats, he led the NFL in throws behind the line at 26.9%, and this year led the league in passing yards behind the line of scrimmage. Today we'll dive into the why he peppers his receivers less than 1 yard down the field. But before we do that, I want to thank this season's sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports site where you can pick a player every day. They have any sport you can think of, almost any stat you can think of, but we all know why we're here this week. It is Super Bowl Sunday. To play, you choose 2 to 6 players and select whether they go more or less than their projection. Since I already took the free square of Mahomes' 0.5 passing yards last week, I can't do it again, so give me Saquon getting into the end zone, and if Travis Kelce does propose or whatever, he's gotta at least drop 63 yards on him. PrizePicks has the fastest withdrawals of any daily fantasy app. You load up the app, you're done in like 2 seconds, so quick. And they're also doing a deal where you put in my promo code Rollins, you put in just $5, they will give you $50 for free. That's promo code Rollins. Mahomes continues to throw behind the line of scrimmage because of how defenses began playing the Chiefs. Andy Reid's philosophy has always been to attack where the defense isn't. So because the league previously majored in mostly using one high safety coverages, that meant he could put Tyreek Hill either outside and have him be one-on-one, or run special routes where he'd put him in at the third position in the slot. Receivers are counted outside in, 1, 2, 3. Then he'd cross the face of the one high safety, and we have a long Chiefs touchdown. So then in 2021, when the league realized they needed to counter and play 2 high safeties over the top of the Chiefs to limit Tyreek and Mahomes' big arm, the Chiefs felt they were forced to turn Tyreek into an underneath threat, realized he wasn't that valuable in that role, and shockingly traded him. This has resulted in Mahomes' average depth of target literally falling each year of his career, where in his rookie year it was 9.1, nearly throwing past the sticks every single play. Now it's all the way down to just 6.2, and it's because he's constantly throwing behind the line of scrimmage. Since defenses are taking a safety out of the box and putting him deep, that's one less defender closer to the line of scrimmage. So we're not going to keep throwing deep, that's where the defense is. We're going to throw underneath repeatedly and make them come up and tackle. This is going to probably end up being the least impressive episode I've done in terms of a team gaining big time yardage. But this is just simply what the Chiefs offense has become. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, 5-yard gains over and over and over. They're able to do this because Andy Reid is fantastic at calling the perfect screen against the perfect coverage. For example, when defenses play zone coverage with their 2 high safeties, that means a cornerback won't travel with a slot receiver. So instead of this defender being a corner, it's a linebacker, and that's all the Chiefs need to throw the screen to Xavier Worthy. Reid knows zone coverage is all about creating horizontal stress on the defense. Typically with screen concepts, when it's 3-on-3, you don't want to throw the screen since these 2 block these 2, leaving a defender for the ball carrier. But since it's zone with a linebacker, and because it's zone he's tucked a bit more inside, it's a race to the outside. And yeah, I'll take the fastest guy ever. Another screen they run against zone is a smoke screen for when defenses play cover 3 zone. Usually the cornerback is off the receiver to get his landmark, and so he doesn't get picked by a receiver, and because it's Worthy, so he doesn't want to get burned deep. So even though this is called a run play, Mahomes has the option of just quickly dishing this off and letting Worthy hopefully break a tackle. This next example against zone isn't behind the line of scrimmage, so doesn't technically fit into our topic for the week, but it could have. The Chiefs are running this RPO, which means it's a called run play with the offensive line blocking run, but if Mahomes sees something, he can pull the ball and throw a quick pass. This is a bubble slant RPO, where Mahomes reads Kamari Lassiter. If Lassiter sits back for the slant, Mahomes throws the bubble, and when Lassiter charges up for the bubble, Mahomes throws the slant, and the Chiefs pick up a nice gain. When defenses keep getting stretched out to the perimeter when playing zone coverage, they respond with man coverage to match up on these screens. So instead of horizontal stretching, the man coverage beating screens are all about picking a defender off with another blocker. Let's just notice how similar this pre-snap look is to what the Bucs showed the Chiefs a few years ago. It's one high safety, clear man-to-man coverage with cornerbacks on each of the receivers one-on-one. So Mahomes knows he could take a shot deep with any of his options whose defenders have no help over the top. But instead, they run a little screen because now they are a different type of offense. Watch how they're releasing their center Creed Humphrey in hopes to block linebacker Christian Harris, who is one-on-one and man on Isaiah Pacheco. This is the game within the game for the Chiefs, what they do when they need to beat man coverage with screens. They work even better when defenses try to disguise their coverage against them. Cause think about it, are you just gonna sit back and let Mahomes read your mail the whole time? No, you have to fool him to some degree. So when the Texans try to trick their protection, it doesn't work because the Chiefs can run their screens. The Texans are showing Henry To'oTo'o creeping down the blitz and are pretending Harris is guarding Kareem Hunt. But they switch the two to try to fool the protection, but the Chiefs are ready. It probably would have worked whoever is guarding Hunt, cause the Texans are showing an obvious man look pre-snap. To'oTo'o has to run through all this trash, even more than Harris would, and Hunt picks up a first down. When the Chiefs saw this wrinkle, they knew they could add another element to it. So once again, they positioned all the receivers to one side to create a lot of traffic, and Samaje Perine picks up a giant gain. The Chiefs combine the simplicity of pick off a defender against man, or stretch the defense horizontally against zone with elite execution. By using motion against man coverage, they can force you to execute at a high level, and a lot has to go right for the defense to do so. Like here, the Texans are in man coverage, but when Xavier Worthy motions over, Lassiter hesitates for just a second after Stingley correctly bumps over to the tight end, which creates enough room to pick up a nice gain. Or we can see what's really the same play, where Alontae Taylor is in man on Worthy, but has to bump inside when Mecole Hardman runs across the formation. And watch Mecole hesitate a sec, then sprints across. Taylor is just a step behind and can't catch up through the trash. Another type of screen that utilizes motion that beats man coverage is a tunnel screen, where the key here isn't to beat your man to the outside, but cut back into the pulling offensive line to create a tunnel-type convoy that Rashee Rice can hopefully find and drive through. Sometimes it's just favorable pre-snap looks, where like I said, defenses know they have to throw crazy disguises at Pat or they have no shot. So here it's just very simply 3-on-2, and yet again, another first down is gained. One thing I think the Eagles can pick up on is a little tell I noticed studying the Chiefs film. It's little formational tendencies that tip you off, and I found that when Xavier Worthy is off the ball and inside, the Chiefs love getting to this little slide route because it's so difficult for the cornerback and man to cover him. The Chiefs will run plays that aren't screens, where if Mahomes is getting blitzed, he can just dump off a quick pass to the flats and force the opposing defense to stop blitzing him. Then when you're in the red zone and you're starting to worry about all the things they can attack you with picks, rubs, Kelsey, they can use some razzle-dazzle and beat you up the middle. The Kansas City offense has gone from explosive, over the top, to 1,000 paper cuts until eventually you bleed out. They've taken the old Bruce Lee quote, "Be like water," and adapted it to their offense. It's not about gunning the ball deep no matter what, even though you have arguably the best deep ball thrower ever. If the defense is gonna take a second guy and stick him deep, let's attack underneath again and again until eventually the game is won. Football, despite all its complex X's and O's and schemes, is simple. Attack them where they aren't. If you go deep, we go underneath. And with meticulous elite execution, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the doorstep of doing something we have never seen done before in NFL history. Their evolution from winning with offense with Tyreek Hill has evolved to trading him away and attacking underneath. And since then, they've been the most successful in the Mahomes-Reid era. They have answers for every problem on the test. If you play man, we pick you off. If you go zone, we stretch you out. They are reminiscent of the other dynasty, the other guys, where their offensive philosophy wasn't to bomb you deep or beat you with elite receiver skill. It was an elite quarterback, elite scheme and execution, with average at best surrounding talent, and they won. The Chiefs will win the Super Bowl, they are just too good at underneath offensive execution. And instead of non-stop offensive explosion, they know what it takes to simply win the game.